hood bag. I do it for the city, on my Robin Hood swag. With bands after bands formulating in my hands, nigga, I'ma be the man till I got a foot tag. Just another day in this life. It's like a movie with no cameras on my craziest nights. Cup of Henny over ice, call it gravy and rice. Now roll the kush up in the wood, blowing good till we beaming up to alien heights. Wearing coaches to the club like Punjabis. The birds trying to flock and we ain't eating in the lobby. We got the parking lot, pouring shots of Bacardi to the top. Yeah, we call it a masala block party. Hella bottles in the mix with some Magic City models belly dancing on their whips. Big body trunk shaking jumps out the pavement, that's an understatement. Really, you can hear us out of fibs. Drip to the ankles, baby, shake it like some bagels till you make them throw them singles. Girl, you know we getting rich. Cadillac jumping, doing donuts like Duncan. Yeah, I see your man's hitting till that nigga smoke something. Parking lot pimp, can you dig a little shouter? We gon' bring it to the streets, going crazy. Everybody saying. Let your curiosity rise.
Mad Bricks webcast,
where the human spirit flies. Mad Bricks webcast, where the human spirit flies.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Welcome to the Medbix webcast. This is Raman Raju. I'm the host. We have some problem with the guest speaker. She has a technical issues. I tell all the doctors, please check first, but they ignore. They think they know this technology. I am in Silicon Valley. I go through tremendous pressure. I know all fairly. I use all the LLMs very well. Still, I'm go through struggles with the technology. I tell in advance, but unfortunately, there is a situation there. But anyway, yeah. So she is not
audio.
Audio. I'm going to talk with you 5 minutes. After that, I'm going to close it. We need a video. You need to figure out video. And Arokia, we don't do without video, but I will talk with you 5 minutes. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Check it out, the settings, if you can possible. You have to. This technology is very complicated nowadays. You have to really. It's not AI just using the words, but you have to really understand technology. This is a friction is created by this. I don't blame the individuals. I blame these technology companies creating this huge pressure because of their conflict between these big companies like Microsoft and Google and LinkedIn and Facebook. All of them struggle each other, and they create a lot of technology pressures for people. Try to rejoin again. I will be talking about something else. Maybe I will bring my son and talk with him on the line and see. Okay, please rejoin again. Try to rejoin again. And see if it is possible. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is. This is the really serious point. I want to make it for people in Congress, policymakers. The reason is you need to put Congress hearings for all these companies, what kind of a cognitive pressure they're creating for the people. And you have no, if you're really concerned about people, your constituents, you have to put a really a hearing. Are they intentionally creating these frictions or using a technical words to just to extract money, time, and attention? Are they doing? Have you done any research on that? Yeah, did you ask CDC find out what the problems are? Mental health, community is powerless. They have not done anything much. They just talk, but they did not really run the policy towards the technology. They failed in my view. Honestly, I'm a little bit brutal about it because I've been pleading this nonstop for a long time. We have to really, this friction is created artificial, in my view, between these companies. And these IT companies, only one game: extract your time, money, attention, and then run the money. That's a pyramid scheme. These platforms are pyramid scheme. Trust me, they mastered the pyramid scheme. I'm a little angry about it because this is the situation that is out of control in our lives, because this technology is creating us. These kids, I see the bunch of kids going to the college. I don't know what they do. They watch only phone. They don't even know how to talk with the people. They talk with the people. They talk with the with the phone or text the phone. We are really we are creating real psychosis among kids. They don't want to meet other people. They want to make girlfriends with the computers. It is a serious problem. Artificial intelligence, it is a glorified, is a glory. It is not really powerful that much as people think. I've been using three extensively. Okay, I used it. She showed up now. Add to the screen. Yeah. Yeah, Rocky, how are you?
Hello, I'm fine,
I,
Ramana. Sorry about
I've
this
been a little bit
technical.
venting my anger towards welcome to the Medbix webcast. But I tell you, mental health counselor, mental health professionals has to do raise the voices for this. What's going on? I live in Silicon Valley. Okay, the technology is complicated. It's not. It is not a complicated. The responsibility, they say, it is on the people, you, me, and everybody. In fact, they are creating that friction to get the attention, money, and time. That's all their interest. It is really destroying the next generation. It is really, there is no strong voice in mental health. They talk, but they don't have any powers in the diplomacy at the highest levels. I talk with them. Congressman Rokana here is located here. He is our congressman here. I know him, and I've been sending him. If you, any leader who is really strong, you need to address this technology cognitive load on people. Most of the doctors, when they became a EMR, the cognitive load of EMR is extremely high, and they compliant. But anyway, this is my rant for the day, because it's a technology rant, because I want to listen to people, the views, but technology, you have to be very single voice you need to raise. Don't be Indians got rich because the technology. That doesn't mean it gives a permission. What they do is they use the Indians and Chinese to build that pyramid scheme to extract money, time, and attention. That's all. Once
Mm.
they're used it, once AI comes, they throw them out too. It is a big game. Yeah. I've been in the Silicon Valley. I'm a valued member here. I know I'm an influencer. But anyway, let me talk with you a little bit about your. Let me introduce you. Your introduction a little bit. Yeah, you're. Let me introduce you my guest. She's joining from England, London, England. Um, So I think she did a. Okay, let me introduce you. Mental health is one of the defining challenges of our time, especially for Gen Z. The world needs more than awareness, it needs innovation. Our guest tonight is doing exactly that. Dr. Arokia Antonysamy, mostly from Kerala, I guess, is an award winning psychiatrist, a TED speaker, and a health tech entrepreneur, and one of the UK's leading voice in AI and mental health care. She has had led major mental health programs across the NHS, National Health System of England, that is. She has served as a senior consultant psychiatrist for the UK Ministry of Defence. She has developed pioneering AI powered tools that focus on preventing mental illness before it lives to begin to unravel. Well, is preventing or is actually creating a psychosis, we will find out. Her work has been featured by the BBC. She has received a Rethink Academic Prize, the Innovator Award, the Global Woman Entrepreneur Award, and recognition as one of the UK's rising stars in mental health. Welcome, Arokia Antonysamy. Welcome. Sorry for my rant, but you learned a lesson on the healthcare technology. Everybody, even if you are expert, you have to learn every day. But anyway, if I miss anything about your introduction, let me know.
That's perfectly fine. Thank you.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Question you. This is the pressure I'm talking about. Have you? This is highest level. Let me start with the highest level. Do you think where is this mental health crisis is coming from all over the world? Is it what is the technology effect on it, or in general there is a mental health crisis coming up because of the other reasons, so processed food or whatever? What do you think of the mental health crisis? One of the reasons are, or a multiplex complexes there.
Okay, thank you. I think people generally, especially like as you mentioned, when we look at Gen Zs and their mental health problems, um, we are quick to blame the social media. We see social media as the villain here. I don't believe that social media is the villain. It's actually the amplifier. Social media, it didn't create loneliness. It did not create low self-esteem or the need to belong. Those have always been part of human experience. We
Let me
all
ask you,
like.
if you say that, do you have a research supporting that, your context that you're saying social media is not causing the loneliness or not increasing the influence? Did you we have any research done on it in the UK or the United States?
There are, I mean, several researches done around this, but what all of these researches is generally pointing towards is that social media has amplified the existing problem. It's making comparison constant. It's making validation measurable. Like, for example, how many likes on my post, how many followers, do you know what I mean, how many have viewed my post. So there is a lot of pressure the current generation is facing, and rejection is visible in ways no previous generation has experienced. Like when we were in schools or when we were in unis, we didn't have anything like, I mean, social media kind of non-existed. So therefore we did not experience that pressure. So I think social media has just amplified existing problems. But if we are blaming, say social media and then say remove social media, does that actually, cure the problem? Not necessarily. We risk missing a deeper problem here. Many young people today are growing up in a world where connection has been replaced by connectivity. And I think that's very important. They have hundreds of online contacts, but very few people they feel safe enough to confide something like, I am not okay. So they've got thousands of followers, but it doesn't actually add any meaning or value to what they are experiencing or going through. Families have become more busy. So the other issue is Then now increasingly women are, increasingly going to work. So it's like, both parents, they need to work if they have to give the best of education and all of the comfort and luxury for their kids. So yes, families have become more busier now. Communities are less connected. Academic and economic pressures are much, much greater, especially in developing countries. And therefore, many young people, especially the young adults, the Gen Zs, they spend more time curating their lives rather than living them. That is the problem we are experiencing today. As a psychiatrist, I've also seen the other side. Social media can provide education, it can reduce stigma, it can help people find communities. Because I remember when Facebook was introduced, and say when WhatsApp became more popular, so many universities, they all started having reunions, so that type of connection was also taking place. And also it encourages people to seek help. So I've seen patients realize they weren't alone because someone somewhere, shared their story, so they were able to connect, they were able to relate to that. So it's really hard to say whether technology itself here is good or bad. I think it's how we design it, how we regulate it, and how we use it. I think that is more important than the just, the existence or presence or absence of technology.
Let me introduce you. Is more expert than I am in the neuroscience and this. My Ramesh Alexander. Ramesh is joining with us. He's a young guy. He's a musician. He's a master's in neuroscience, and you can relate to Gen Z, millennials, all of them you can relate to. I'm less qualified to ask questions than he could ask questions better. Ramesh, take over for this. I can join whenever you need me, but I think it would be better that you address as an old man that I talk about frustrations of, uh, you know. Ramesh? Do you agree that you know, uh, I compare this one to when you eat food. When I like some particular food, I love it. Appam, for example, I love it, and then I eat. But if you eat excessive, anything is a problem, right? So same thing with the social media or technology itself. Where is that line is drawn? So Ramesh, you take over, ask questions than me. So you would be a better candidate for me.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's great to meet you, Dr. Arokia.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I actually very much agree with the nuance that you elicited as far as the social media being the cause versus an amplifier of predisposition, because
Mm,
it hasn't created any new, like definitively new mental illness. Maybe variants of it, but it's all disorders that already existed, right? And so from a neuroscience perspective, I think that a big portion of it is dopamine. I think a lot of people are basically burning through their dopamine through, quick scrolling and novelty and things like that. And it's reducing a couple different things. It's reducing reducing the ability to feel pleasure, the ability to stay motivated to stay on a task and to completion, and a lot
mm,
of different things, and even just the connectivity between people. And when you look at the design point of how it works as well, the metrics that and from an artist perspective too, because we have to look at these metrics. We have to look at the engagement that we're getting, the viewership, the locations and everything like that. Those numbers are not stuff are typically not things that people should be seeing on a regular basis and internalizing because of how our brains are wired, especially when it comes to reward. So I do think that that is kind of something that has been, amplifying mental health issues in, the younger generation. And I think because there's no longer a barrier for content, the younger generation is also exposed to things that are probably traumatic that they don't even register, like whether it's violence, whether it's adult themes or
yeah.
things like that, where in the past they didn't their brains didn't have to register that. They're exposed to the exact same things we are. And so I do think there's an underlying thing that kind of, I've also noticed that they seem a little bit more apathetic online to a lot of different things, or and I do think that's kind of a result. It's almost like hopeless, but not quite hopeless. And so I guess the question I would have for you is what well, okay, so what are some solutions um that you think the younger generation can feasibly achieve without, because when we tell kids to
Yeah,
reduce
yeah.
screen time, it's hard to do that.
It's hard. And I think, you know what? It's really sad that we are attributing this problem as a Gen Z problem, or this is a
Mm-hmm.
problem of the younger generation. I think it's a wider problem. Do you think adults are not spending too much screen time?
Mm-hmm.
Older adults, of course we are. Do you know what I mean? Of course we are.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm guilty of that as well. So I think what is important is,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm really passionate about responsible AI and digital mental health, because innovation should strengthen human well-being. It should not exploit human vulnerability. And what really concerns me is, just going back to the solution aspect here, when apps are being approved, like for example, if a drug has to be approved for health, whether it's mental health or physical health, they go through a lot of stages. They go through rigorous research and scrutiny. And you being a neuroscience expert yourself, you know that the various steps it has to go through, phase 1 trial, phase 2 trial, and then the side effects. And then when there are side effects which did not come up in the trial, you need to report them separately. There are red alerts, amber alerts. So much goes into it, right? But then an app, if you have to approve an app, where is that scrutiny? And there are so many apps approved in healthcare organizations even without clinical oversight. And then there are so many apps out there in marketplace without any kind of approval. It's like anyone can develop an app and put it out there in the marketplace when it comes to say healthcare. So that is worrying. So I think we really need platforms that hold some accountability. There should be some kind of regulation. Plus, people who are approving those apps should also look for, what is it rewarding healthy behavior? Does that encourage meaningful connection? Does that identify early signs of distress? And I think that is important, rather than just simply maximizing the amount of time people stay online. So I have touched on this in my book, which I'm about to launch in a couple of days, titled The Gift of Hope. I write that hope grows in relationships where people feel seen, heard, and valued. No algorithm can replace genuine human connection. So technology should never become a substitute for relationships. It should support them. So I am not against technology, because I am a health tech founder. But then there's so much technology can do to support our well-being, whether it is physical or mental. And I'll give you an example. Like, I have patients who are having these unpleasant thoughts, disturbing thoughts, and they are not acutely unwell for me to admit them to a psychiatric hospital. But at the same time, that risk is there, and I wish someone is out there to monitor them every day. Currently, that responsibility lies with the family. And it's not fair. It's not fair on the family or the carer, because they have to sacrifice their dreams, they have to sacrifice their social connections, they have to sacrifice their job, their higher education, to look after a loved one who is struggling with their mental well being. So, here, responsible AI can help as a monitoring, as a way of, monitoring their thoughts, as a way of monitoring their behavior, monitoring the quality of the text messages. And AI is really good at picking up patterns. And when I say patterns, what I really mean is when that same individual was in acute distress needing to see a psychiatrist, it understands the pattern. And then, the pattern changes because the individual may have received some help and support and, feeling better. The thoughts improve, the sleep improves, the appetite improves. But then they might, that those changes may not necessarily sustain. Some other stressful thing happens, and then, they go through a relapse. And then AI, if it is well trained and regulated, it can pick up those patterns before we pick them up. So I think it's really, really important that we can use tech as a solution, provided it has the right expert input, not just exclusively leaving it with the app developers, with the tech people. It's so important that it does have clinical oversight. And I have got that personal experience because, as I'm developing this app, if I leave it to the developer and then, the next session, I'm like, oh my God, you forgot this, you should include this. And then they are like, so it has also helped me understand how they work. It's like they're the way they work is more mathematical, algorithmic, equations and stuff like that. So it once I understand that, I know where the gaps are, so it's easier for clinicians and scientists and research people to be able to fill those gaps. So I think that kind of collaboration is really important if we are to protect the future generation. I think it's really important, rather than, oh, AI is not for me, or social media is harmful, or tech is not the answer. I think there's no way you can keep AI aside and move on. It's already, what is it, it has already encroached into our territory long before we have realized it. So I think it's really important that we embrace that and make sure that the more and more we experts, we responsible adults, I think we need to be involved more now in protecting the future generation, rather than distancing ourselves from technology.
I agree. And so I'm gonna have to jump off the call in a little bit, but I wanted to say that you bring up a very interesting, a very astute point, that I think that the phase of mental health that we're of you know mental health treatment that we're at is actually awareness. As in, people know that they know that mental health is something that people need to be aware of. But
Mm,
I think that based on how you've kind of described current methods, is people still see it as a metaphysical thing. The brain is a
yeah.
muscle, right?
Mm,
And so people look at it like, okay, you can have a physical brain injury, and that's something that you will see a doctor for. But with mental health, a lot of times I think people are more so like, be aware of the things, the thought process you have, but you can fix it yourself. But if you look at it, if a drug has a side effect of tachycardia or something like that, right? They will start an entirely new trial just to
yeah.
confirm results, be as
Yeah.
required, right?
Yeah.
So once they start finding side effects or even potential you know uh what is it called, basically alternate cures that it has, alternate
Yeah.
abilities, they will start an entirely new trial. And these drugs are on, by the time you see a drug on a commercial, it was created 20 years ago, right?
Mm,
These phase 1, 2, 3 trials are like 10 years long, at
yeah.
least. And so when mental health gets the same treatment as physical health, right? As heart health, as the drugs that or the foods that are even on the market through the FDA, that basically, when these things can be FDA approved, as in there's a mental health division where the everything that is coming into contact with our, or has any impact on our thought process or our mental health, is being vetted the same way as medications, the same way as our food. That's when we'll really see a big change. But
Yeah.
until then, I think a lot of it is still being put on the person, to kind
Absolutely.
of manage. Like, oh,
Yeah.
just hop off the screen, that's all. Or if you're depressed, go outside. It's like,
Exactly.
you
That's
know
not
what I'm
going to
saying?
work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because by the time I see patients in my clinic, they've already lost their motivation and everything. And then you sat in the clinic and then you ask them, oh, when was the last time? What do you love doing in your free time? Oh, I used to enjoy going to the gym, right? When was the last time you went to the gym? Maybe 6 months ago. Oh, probably you have to start doing it. And I'm like, what will the patient think? Oh, I know that already. I didn't come to the clinic to hear that. You have to figure out what my problem is. Why did I lose that motivation to go to the gym in the first place? Right?
Hmm.
I think that is important. So, physical activity is crucial. It helps with mental well being. But then you
Absolutely.
have to be really careful as to what you advise and when you advise, which is important, not when they are in crisis, about physical activity. This is, in the much earlier stage, when they say they are losing motivation, when they tell you, I don't feel like going to the gym nowadays. Okay, find out what's happening. Listen. There, they're not asking for your advice. They don't need solution. They just need someone to just stay with them and listen to what they are going through. See, I think that's important. So,
Exactly. Like, when people have seizures, you don't tell them just think your way through it. And you also don't with seizures and things like that, there's a very specific protocol which usually just is kind of monitoring and less interaction until the episode is over. Or, if
yeah.
someone has shortness of breath, things like that, you're not telling them, oh, just drink some water, go outside. So that is the level of importance we have to take these especially in crisis, because crisis is an act, that's an episode. That's not just oh, it's not a feeling, that is an actual.
Exactly.
And so,
Exactly. It's
yeah,
interesting you're mentioning, seizures. I'm not sure if you've heard about this book, The Body Keeps a Score, right?
yeah.
So it's interesting because sometimes, trauma can manifest as something physical. You go and look at their trauma, and as their trauma is healed, their seizures will stop. So we are, and as physicians, like, sometimes we are quick to prescribe, anti-epileptics and, monitor their seizures. But sometimes, try to understand, could there be a non-organic, contributor to what they are experiencing physically? Yeah, in psychiatry, we do have cultural syndromes where we
Mhm.
study about the mental health manifestations of, different cultures. And in some cultures, a depression may not necessarily present as low mood, lack of sleep, lack of appetite. It may present as something different: body ache, feeling tired, not wanting, not able to do any household chores. Yeah, that could be that culture's expression of depression.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think,
Yeah.
it's really important, like, and going back to what you initially said, always, I mean, we should look for that connection between the physical and, mental aspect. Treat both as one unit. We shouldn't separate them.
$100%.
Going back to that point, Ramesh, I'm going to ask you both of your question is exactly that connection between the physical and mental. Is it the neuroscience itself is a anatomical, right? You take a functional MRI, you do all those things, right? So it has its own science. It is a evidence based science. The psychiatry is based on statistical behavior, right? It's a mostly behavioral patterns that they put the manual DSM or manual there. How much they're coinciding together, how much they differ each other. Both you can answer that question.
It's very interesting, like, you cannot separate neuroscience and the mind.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if you look at the brains of people with depression, there are changes. There are changes in their, cortical areas. If you look at, the brains of patients suffering from addiction, there have been changes shown in the corpus callosum area. Similar for, patients experiencing psychosis, they have had, there are changes observed in their prefrontal, cortex. So there is a clear link. But what we haven't seen is that that link may not be present in every individual. It depends on the stage of illness they are in, because the brain is not going to get damaged overnight. The brain get damaged slowly, 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 slowly. So that changes, when do you see those changes in the brain, depends on the severity and the duration of their condition.
I agree, and I also think it depends on the story too, because to your point, if someone has depression or PTSD from a specific incident, I mean, could you see changes in the amygdala or the cingulate gyrus or any of the emotional centers that responded to the trauma that even create those changes that you might not see the typical signs of depression or
Mm,
anxiety, but they're there. And that's the thing, that because it's not a necessarily a one size fits all when it comes to mental health
mm,
and really just psychiatry in general. It is, I think it does make it hard for people to kind of understand how it works because
yeah,
everyone is different and the story behind why people have these different ailments could be different. It could be nature, it could be nurture, it could be whatever the case. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Ramesh, and both of you can answer this question about the music. Ramesh loves music. He produces music. That's the one I played actually in the intro of the session. What is the relationship between the music and the neuroscience and the psychiatric behavior psychology itself? Dr. Arokia, you can address that first, and then I will ask Ramesh.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because if you look at the types of intelligence, there are about 7 to 9 types of intelligence, and one of those types is musical intelligence. And there has been this connection between music, max, and then if you look at the neuroscience, you guys just they like the pattern. Max, if you look at max, it's all about patterns, right? People who are very interested, who are very good at max, they are so good at patterns. And you see that a lot in architects. Yeah. So they'll be able to figure out all that, the length and breadth, and they'll be like, okay, they see the patterns. And neuroscientists as well, they are quite good at recognizing patterns. So there is that link. I mean, research has shown that link between music and max and neuroscience. And I think the common link there is that pattern. One of the common link there is the pattern recognition.
I agree. I agree, and that's how my brain works. I'm very pattern oriented, so that's probably what led me to all of these things. But and I'll leave with this point. Because of that, I think Carnatic music, especially the rhythms and tempos, because they're complex, they actually do require math. They
Mm,
require calculations to understand these things. And music is definitely something that involves feeling, but that feeling also comes with pattern recognition. And so that I know that rhythms have been looked into for dementia and for Alzheimer's patients in order to help with pattern recognition retrieval.
yes.
So yeah.
Ramesh, just I want to extend that point. While you're listening to Carnatic music or any other complex music, or you learn Geechee music or R&B, is there any computational methods increase the computation of the brain? So that's why you're occupied. So your focus is not on the depression, more focused on excitement about that part, or computational behavior plays a role, or is it something different? We don't know yet.
So there
Both you can
actually
answer
have
it.
been studies that when songs have like have you ever heard a song where in the middle of the song the either the key of the song changes or the beat or whatever the song itself kind of changes into a part two, something changes in that actually stimulates dopamine, a dopamine reaction with people, and that's essentially grabs your attention. So I would say the parts of music that are unexpected, so when when it becomes a little less it's predictable enough to make sense, but you might have a hi-hat that's staggered or a kick that comes in unexpected. Those things draw your attention in and occupy your dopamine. So it becomes less like background noise from what I've read.
And also, if, say, for example, music is therapy, I get it. But then that doesn't necessarily mean that musicians may not get depressed. right?
Right.
They can get depressed, and that's
That's
where
good.
biology comes in, because clearly research has shown one thing very clearly. Of course, I mean, when it comes to mental health, a lot has to be done. When it comes to research, I think it's a very much Cinderella specialty still. It's very much underfunded. It is still very much under researched. In whether it's a developing country or developed country, it really doesn't matter. Mental health should be given the same importance as physical health. So that is why, I mean, sometimes people say, oh, go to the gym, you'll be fine. Oh, go and play your music. Oh, go listen to song. Go just go out with friends. And my challenge there is, okay, if that's the case, musicians shouldn't get depressed. Athletes shouldn't get depressed. And I've had all these people as my clients, great musicians, Olympic champions. Yeah. Then they shouldn't get depressed, but they do. And that's the key question. That's the key question. And we shouldn't forget that. As much as there is a psychological element to mental health problems, like, for example, difficult and traumatic upbringing, history of abuse, history of domestic violence, history of drug, alcohol. Whilst there are psychological components that can trigger depression or anxiety, there are some biological elements to it as well, and I think that is little explored. We know that noradrenaline and serotonin, the happy chemicals, are reduced in patients experiencing depression and anxiety. But what causes that reduction? I think, there's much more to explore there.
I agree. So I'm gonna have to jump off the call. I'm a little bit late, but it was a pleasure speaking with you. And on this is
Thank you.
my favorite topic, so I'm glad we got to have this
And
conversation.
thank you for joining, Ramesh. I'm
Thank you,
glad you
Ramesh.
joined with us. You can
Of
ask
course.
better questions than me. And then, I'm a AI. I use extensively AI. Morning to evening because I have purpose. I'm using AI Canthropic. I'm not a technology guy. I'm a clinic, but my interest is um, policy level. I have a bigger problem. All these companies, anybody checking them, are they creating a friction to make money through you? Is there intentional friction down to the consumers? That is a question. Policy level, we have to be do the framework. You think about it and then see what is a framework you think that can help in the future. We're going to be done in a few minutes, but if you can answer the final question.
I think, policy makers and, people who are involved in drafting policies, that is a huge responsibility. There's no point, developing policies, sitting in a room, within closed doors,
Yeah.
and developing a policy, because then you are developing a policy that is just not practically applicable. Yeah. And I think, when you any type of policy, when you are developing a policy, it is so important to first consult with the user group. If you
Yes,
are, say,
I
developing a
agree.
policy on use of social media,
Yeah.
go to the users of social media. You
Yeah.
need to have involve them in those consultations. Find
Absolutely.
out what are the real benefits for them from social media. Where is it they are struggling? How can we help? What should systems introduce to help improve their situation, to help improve their connection, rather than just number of contacts, number of networks, number of likes and all that. What is it we can do to improve their sense of connection, their sense of well-being, making it more meaningful? Because if we do not involve the user groups, and then you're sat there developing policy, all you're going to do is, oh, we need to ban them from using this, we need to reduce their screen time. Where is the proof that it actually helps? So you are creating policies based on assumptions. So I
No,
think we need to shift. You know what I mean?
that's where in the United States, usually in general, what we do here, the policymakers fund. They have to fund this research studies, and then they implement the policies from the fund that the outcome, like CDC or NHS and the National Mental Health Services.
Yeah.
Those are all has to be funded and give the reports to them, and then they can come up with a cohesive policy. It's not just independent user group, but usually have to be broader,
Oh,
broader.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
So,
so
but
the
the
problem
reason
with
I'm
the
emphasizing on user group is that is the group that is most often forgotten when these policies are being developed.
yeah,
People
yeah,
involve
sure,
all the right experts, the multi disciplinary team
yeah,
experts, the right research people, the right research
I
team.
agree.
Everything is there. But then you're like, okay, where is the user group?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I
that
got
is
a
the
user
bigger question.
representative. One user
Absolutely.
representative is not enough. You need to have user groups, user forums, and I think you need to continuously communicate with them. I think that's important.
I agree with that. That means it requires a lot of funding. Mental health.
Mhm.
I've been in the United States for 40 years. I know. I used to place doctors all over the country. The problem was the mental. Whenever I place a psychiatrist or psychologist, there is no money there. The money funding was extremely limited. So if I put a cardiologist, it's a lot more important. Or or if I put a hematologist, oncologist, it's much more lucrative for us than a mental health. They After the COVID, they talked about quite a bit about the mental health, but they did not allocate any funds for the mental health.
Exactly. which
So
is which is a sad thing, isn't it? And the other reason why mental health is left way behind is, if you have a broken arm or a broken leg, you can shout, you can scream, right? You'll
yeah,
shout for you will make sure that you're being heard. Whereas a mentally unwell patient, they are already vulnerable, they are already in a victim position, they already feel weak, they cannot advocate for themselves, and they're so reliant on their family and loved ones and friends and teachers. And that is sad. They are not able to fight for themselves. So I think we hold a bigger responsibility here. We need to fight for them. So we need
you
to
made
make
an
sure that
excellent
their
point.
needs are addressed.
You made an excellent point. We all, particularly your professional groups, has to raise the voices, and you're raising the voices. People like you writing the books, start talking with the people, like not just me or anybody. This how important it is that and how much the funding is. The most important thing I want the mental health community to talk about funding, because without a funding you cannot do anything. They talked so much in the COVID-19, and absolutely funding was nothing up there in the United States. I spoke with the congressman and all those people. We have struggles here.
Mm.
This is a uh, you know we have another problem is opioid. I'm in Silicon Valley. We have fentanyl addiction here is a huge.
Yes,
So
yes.
we don't have any. The 2 days ago I was talking with Shalini Devan. She was the Narcan advocate, and she's saying that we need to really do give these kind of things and freely available everywhere. It is a challenge. I think the mental health crisis should be addressed at the international, national, local
Absolutely.
levels. In my view, thank you for joining.
Thank
Anything you
you.
want to say? Last words. Go ahead, please. Go ahead and you know. T- I differ with you about technology a little bit. My view of technology. I'm an extensive user of technology, but I love your mental health ideas. That wonderful they are. But technology is useful. I use it quite a bit, but it's like a food. If you eat too much, it is always causes problem. So same thing with the technology, and also, I don't want to give it that much credit to the technology people. Quarters are you're telling a computer very basic instruction: go left, go right, go do this. That's not a smartness. People like you go through the medical school is way smarter in my view. Don't give them that much credit to those people who do develop, sit down and writing some nonsense in that code that is taken over by AI anyway. Anthropic and new code, the cursor, all of these companies are coming and taking over that part. So you people like the biology has to play a role. They have a bigger role, and you're playing that role. Thank you for joining.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for joining with the late night for you. Good night, all of you. Good night for you and English people. We are good evening here. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much. Thank you.
Bye bye.
We are retelling their stories through our patented designs that can be worn on scrubs, t-shirts, printed on conference bags, and endless other promotional materials. Daily Wear for Medicine is the first ever of its kind to create curiosity in medicine through visual art. We at MedBricks are celebrating unsung heroes of the past who made enormous contributions to the field of medicine through our unique campaign called Daily Wear for Medicine. You can wear it, carry it, and give it